Hello, World Wide Web. Welcome back to the Hangin' with Web show right here on HWWS Web TV. I'm GW Pomichter, and we are at Central Florida Comic-Con in Lakeland, Florida, all weekend long. And we are hanging out right now with Heidi Hess, who has so much title, it fills the entirety of the screen there.
Feel free to shorten it.
Director of Marketing and Public Relations for Cosmic Times.
That's
Cosmic
me.
Times, okay? Guys, Heidi, thanks for hanging out with us today.
Thank you so
How
much
are
for
you?
having me. Yes, I'm great.
How's the con going?
You know what? This is an amazing convention. We met with Ben. Ben is super, and there's a lot of people here. It's just a great show. So if you're not here, you really need to get here.
I love shows that are put together by people who love this community.
Yeah.
I mean, if you want to serve the geek community, be a geek.
Right. Right.
And Ben is.
It's definitely a community. That is for sure. You see a lot of the same people, and it's just amazing. It's
Look,
I've
if you don't come to the convention, all we're gonna do all weekend long is hang out with each other. And we're gonna love it. We're not even gonna know you're not here until we go to the bank and realize we didn't deposit anything.
But you need to get here.
So get here. Come on out. Be part of it. This is an amazing place to be.
It's
awesome.
You know, we've never been to Lakeland, and driving out here, we didn't know what to expect. You know, we thought, we didn't know. This is our first time at this show, but it's a great facility, and there's a lot of really great people here. People are walking around. Everybody's really interested in comics, and we're excited about that.
Really awesome. And the art and the comic creators that are out here in the indie community. We have our celebrity row back here, which is I think in all the conventions we've done in the last 3 years, these guys have come out from behind the table and hung out with their fans more than any other group.
I love that. Don't you love that?
I do. I think
love that aspect of the convention.
That is how it's supposed to be. This is a place where you're supposed to meet and have fun with the community.
Right.
And it's great. All right, let's talk a little bit about Cosmic Times.
Okay.
What do you guys got going on? What am I looking at here? Let's start here.
Right here. You know, one of the things that I'm really proud of is we create comics. We create all kinds of comics, but these specifically are for everyone. They're for everyone. So your kids, your teenagers, whatever. So we have Sugar Boogarz. Sugar Boogarz was created by Michael Duran. Love Michael Duran's work. I think he's great. Yes. And it's about a band of gingerbread ninjas. So that's kind of cool.
Gingerbread ninjas.
Gingerbread cookies that are ninjas.
I knew it.
Yeah! Right?
I knew it.
And then we also have Deep Space Tragedy by Mike Wagner. Mike Wagner, he works for Universal Studios. It's his creation, and it's about a teenage robot rock band on the run. Say that 3 times fast.
Teenage robot rock band on the run.
Rock band on the run. Yes,
they are. As a teenage robot rock band would be.
Right, exactly. And they're fighting for their right to rock out in the universe. Yeah, so
they're the Beastie Boys of space.
Exactly.
So, wow, man, that is awesome.
Yeah. Other things that we have going on. We just finished a Kickstarter.
Okay,
So we did good. It's called From Blood.
From Blood.
And it is about a superpower mental patient. So, not really for kids. Not this particular one.
Superpower mental patient.
A superpower mental patient.
All right, everybody here who's watched Marvel's Legion knows that never goes well. Hijinks is bound to ensue.
Now listen, we kickstarted issue 1, and issue 2 is going to be coming up, and then issue 3 is the culmination. But trust me when I say
3 issues going ahead.
Yeah, there's going to be 3 issues.
That's a lot of hijinks.
And it looks like, when it starts out, it looks like it's going to be a bleak end. But trust me when I say this is a story of humanity and choices, and it's just a great story. Yeah, it's a great story.
That's awesome. That is, and that's what you need to build a successful comic, anything.
Yeah.
Is the human being is a storyteller.
Yeah.
And we love to tell stories and we love to be told stories.
Oh yeah.
But only when they're really good.
Right.
You tell me a bad story, that's it.
Yeah.
You shut it down. You do marketing and public relations.
Sure do.
For Cosmic Times.
Yeah.
What drew you to this world, to comics and comic culture?
Yeah, a little background. I actually used to work at a school, and I worked one-on-one with a little girl that has spina bifida. And I have always been a strong reader, and my kids are excellent readers because I've been reading to them since they were about 6 months old. Storybooks, that kind of a thing. And then there was this one particular day, I was at a book fair, and there was this 5-year-old, no, he was in the 5th grade, and he was going to buy Moby Dick, a graphic novel version of Moby Dick. And he said, I can't buy this, I can't bring it home because my mom will be really upset, and I didn't understand why. This is classic literature, just in graphic novel version. And if my kids brought that home, I'd be ecstatic. I'd be like, oh yay, they're
My
I'd
favorite purchase
yeah.
ever was and I don't know if you remember them. Walmart carried them for a while. Barnes and Noble had them for a while. They were the classic stories. I forgot what the name of the company was. But it was all the classic stories, but with illustrations and huge font, and all of the language had been kind of toned down for children.
Yeah.
It was children's classics, what they were called.
Okay.
And there was a whole collection of them, and I bought that collection because I was so excited, because my kids kept going to my library and wanting to pick a book, and they'd go, I'm not reading 5,000 pages of anything.
Yeah.
But then I thought they brought this home, and they could read Sherlock Holmes, and they could read King Arthur, and they could read Moby Dick, and loved them.
Yeah, yeah.
Loved them.
And what's great, when they read the graphic novels or toned down versions of it, it creates a curiosity that will, in high school, college, propel them and encourage them to read the actual piece.
Yeah.
So that's really exciting. So that experience, I was like, well, that doesn't make any sense. And then Martin and I, we've known each other a long time, and we got reconnected. And he told me that he had his comic book publishing company, and I was like, well, that's great. That's amazing that you're making these comics, and we need to get them out there. We really need to get them out there because there is this. And we were just talking about that, but there's this feeling that comics are not legitimate literature, and that the kids, can't learn something from it. 2 years we did Miami Book Fair, and Miami Book Fair is trying really hard to promote comics and to promote graphic novels. And we met, I'll never forget this, we were on a panel with Nate Powell. Nate Powell is an Eisner Award winning writer, illustrator as well, and he did March. It's a whole series called March about the civil rights movement.
Wow.
It was fascinating. It was just
Amazing.
easily one of the best graphic novels I think I've ever read. And I took it home, and my kids read it, and they loved it. So
there's something really unusual about the idea that literature and ideas and stories about the human condition shouldn't be accessible, because that's what comics do. They make heady ideas and big grand notions accessible to your little one, your teenagers, to adults. And I love I was not a huge reader as a young person. I love stories. I always have. I've loved television and movies. I was watching Star Trek: The Wrath of Khan in my 20s. Shut up. Yes, people did live back then. We rode dinosaurs to the movie theater. But all throughout they are quoting Moby Dick. And I am watching, and I'm listening to all these quotes, and I'm listening to all these quotes, and I'm thinking, wow, that's so cool. And of course, my first iteration is, wow, they wrote this amazing. It's just the dialogue is fantastic. And it occurs to me that these are all quotes. And now I had to go read Moby Dick. I read all of Moby Dick because Captain Kirk told me to. That's how I felt. And they celebrate at the beginning of Search for Spock. They celebrate Kirk's birthday, and he gets A Tale of Two Cities.
Right. Yeah.
I had to read Tale of Two Cities because Captain Kirk told me to. And before I knew it, my library was all of this fantastic literature, and it all came from here because that's the stuff we reference in our comic books and in our stories. And every time there's a reference made, you get a kid that goes,
I wonder.
I have when I was in college writing papers, I had what I called my hook book, and it's a Bartlett's Familiar Quotation book. And I remember so many times seeing a movie, reading a comic book, and flipping through the Bartlett's book, finding it. Oh, that's where that came from. Let's go get it. And this is a great place for kids to get interested in culture in general.
Absolutely.
And it's really important. They have to be marketed that. It's sad, but important. They have to be marketed and reminded that this is a legitimate source of knowledge.
Absolutely, sure. And what's interesting? You go to the teachers, you go to the schools, you go to the principals, and they're on board. But really, at the end of the day, there's a disconnect there between the school boards and the schools and the principals and the teachers. And it's really the school boards that really need to push, really need to get behind that, because if they're supporting that and if they're including that within the curriculum for the schools, then it's going to happen. Then it's going to happen. But it needs to be recognized. Kids, people don't realize this, but if you're dyslexic, having books with pictures, graphic novels, helps. It
Guide
helps to
you
figure
through
out,
the story.
Yeah, it helps to figure out the words, and so I mean, it helps people to read.
Wow.
And people, it's a good way to get kids to read.
I think that card that she just put down as she left the set entirely and left us on our own, she'll regret it.
Uh-oh.
YouTube will love it.
Yeah.
Anyway, no, was your favorite or most unique moment teaching or talking or interacting at a convention?
My most unique favorite moment.
Now, I screwed that entire question up probably because I couldn't read it because she said it down. But we're going to do it anyway.
Wow. Most unique favorite moment. Do we mean like funny?
It could be funny. It could something that stands out in your mind. Just a special moment for you.
Gosh, there's so many.
When you do these enough, that they all blend together. But there's always that one spark, that one.
Can I have
moment.
two?
You can have two. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. You can even phone a friend if you have.
No. I don't
man,
have to
I'm
phone
gonna
a friend.
copyright strike for that.
Here we go. Okay. Let me see. The very first con that I ever did was PalmCon, and that's Martin's comic convention in West Palm Beach.
Yes.
We're hoping he gets that back up and running. But the second one that I did was.
I asked him about it yesterday on camera, and his eyes went. It was kind of crazy.
Oh, that's funny. Anyway, but the second convention that I did was the New York City Comic Con, and so I walked in, and I talk a lot. I have a lot to say. We walked into the Javits Center, and it was incredible. I was speechless for like 3 hours. But a funny moment from that, Deadpool was all the rage, of course. This was, going back about 3 or 4 years ago. And Deadpool was being chased by a pack of T-Rex, the blow-up T-Rex.
The big blue.
There were about 25 T-Rex.
Those were a thing on the convention circuit for like a couple of years. Like you would go to every convention you would go to, they would have a pack. Of these blow-up T-Rexes.
Yes.
It's kind of frightening.
It was hilarious. But
great.
Here's Deadpool, and he's running, and there's this pack of T-Rexes coming after him, and he's just and it was hilarious. It was so funny. My other favorite moment would probably be down in we're from West Palm, and there's a library. Our library system, the Palm Beach County Library System, just started their own Comic-Con. They do like their own.
Like a little library con.
It's called DeweyCon.
DeweyCon,
yes. So so they had us there, and we set up, and there were kids coming up, but there's this one kid, and he had never seen comics at all. Had never been, and he was young, but we gave him his first comic. I'll never forget this. And he picked up the comic, and he looked at it, and he opened it, and he just lit up like the 4th of July, and it was such a moment. It was just so gratifying. So that's another one of my favorite moments. Yeah, and that was from a mini convention.
No,
so
and those are great. Sometimes the little conventions like this really yield some of those big moments that you remember.
Yeah.
Number one, we have time
Yeah.
to get those moments. And number two, we're not overwhelmed by the awe and shock of New York or San Diego or even MegaCon here in Florida. You can walk in the door and just be overwhelmed.
Sure, yeah. Oh,
100,000 of your
MegaCon.
closest friends are there.
Yeah, MegaCon's pretty overwhelming.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. I will say, the state of Florida, fabulous shows. We have great shows, man.
Oh, yeah.
We have great shows. There's the Central Florida Comic-Con, InfinityCon is Lake City and Tallahassee.
Yes.
Great show, great promoter. Tom shows at Daytona, and I think he's doing DeLand as well. Just amazing shows. And importantly, and especially, coming from a comic perspective, they're comic shows. They're true comic shows.
Yes, because
MegaCon's more pop culture.
Yeah, there's a time when you have to celebrate the roots of what we love.
Sure.
It's great that we love our movies and our television, and we love these great, big, huge properties.
Yeah.
But every once in a while, I think it's important, especially in the community, to remember that these things were birthed from generations of comic creations. And every once in a while, it's great to go back and see those indie comic creators and see the new comics that are out, because that's going to tell you what popular culture is 25 years from now.
It's true.
Because that's where our popular culture came from.
Yeah.
Was 30 years ago.
Right.
I remember traveling and seeing, Stan Lee on the road, and people were just lining up and things like that, and you think, wow, Stan Lee has been a spokesman literally for 40 years. His creations are before that. And yet his creations are what are popular culture today.
Yeah.
And so 40 years from now, these guys are going to be up there.
Right.
Some actor that does a mocap suit of this rock band is going to be sitting up there.
It's true.
And we're all going to be sitting there going, wow.
Yeah.
I hope we're still there. I
Yeah.
hope we're all still there to see it.
Oh, definitely.
That's right.
Yes, yeah.
Guys, that's my shut up card. Apparently, if Heidi and I talk too much, they get upset behind the camera and left out whatever. So we're going to say thank you. Thank you to our partners and our friends at Famous Faces and Funnies, Josh Bauer for all the art that's on the set.
Very cool.
Here.
It's beautiful.
Space Coast Comics and Space Coast Comic Con. We'll see you guys in a couple of weeks. Hearts Helping Others of Central Florida. That is families getting together as a 501c3 to help other families through Central Florida,
Nice.
through hard times, through Christmas, through these great times. So it's awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you to Brevard Film and Talent for helping to make me some kind of a filmmaker instead of just a journalist with a keyboard. Thank you to Mommy and G Creations. That is my beautiful daughter, Kimberly, and my granddaughter, Baby G,
Nice.
creating all of our merchandise for us, which
Very
is
cool.
awesome. Our, our good friends at nsclivetv.com. And it is our great friends over at Entertainment Inc. or Ink Fusion Magazine for some of the pieces that have been adorning the set this weekend. He managed to sell the pieces right off my set, so I have to get new ones.
Wow.
So
Wow.
he's doing great next door.
Yeah,
He's
that's
got some
wonderful.
really one-of-a-kind pop culture figures. He's got little Stan Lee action figures,
Oh, fun.
which
I'll
is
have
kind of cool.
I'll have to go take a look.
Kind of neat
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
And we want to, I don't know what she's pointing at and I don't really care, but we want to tell you guys, we have been hanging out with Heidi Hess from Cosmic Times. Check out their
Yeah.
work online. In
Yeah.
the meantime, log on, tune in, and see who we're hanging with next. Okay, thank you.
Thank
Oh
you so
my
much.
God.
Thank you. Yeah, appreciate
I
you
think I
having me.
tried to breathe coffee somewhere in the middle.